What's up, guys? Well, it took a long time, but I finally have a CRKT Provoke. So in this video, I'm just going to talk about my first impressions of it. I've had it for probably 2 weeks now, maybe a little bit less than 2 weeks. Just used it a little bit, just been playing with it a lot, so that's why this is not a review as much as it is just a first impressions video. I've wanted this knife ever since it was a custom knife, before the CRKT version. I saw Joe Caswell, if you don't know, is the designer of this knife, and I saw pictures of the original custom version on Instagram. I don't even know when, maybe a year ago, maybe longer. When I saw it, I immediately knew I eventually wanted one. It's just such a cool, interesting, innovative design. Not only the entire knife itself, but the pocket clip itself is also pretty innovative, which we'll talk about in just a moment here. But I really wanted one. And then as soon as CRKT announced they're doing their own production version for less, because I don't know what the original one sold for $400 or $500, maybe more, probably more, don't recall. But CRKT was able to put this one out for 200 bucks. This one's sporting a D2 blade. Don't recall what the original one had for a blade steel. And although this is a very usable knife, I personally think after playing with it for a while now, there's a lot of novelty here. A lot of reason to get this because it's cool, because it's fun, because it's different. Clearly not the best, in my opinion, go to like EDC or anything by a long shot. But it's still a very, very cool knife. So real quick, I'm going to go over how it works and just talk about my experiences thus far. So as soon as I got this, my first impressions were it was definitely heavier, thicker, and chunkier than I imagined. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that definitely stood out to me the second I got it in my hand. So if you haven't seen a million videos on this already, or pictures and stuff, basically if I open it halfway, you can see how this works. Imagine the blade, and these two arms aren't there because clearly they're just connected. So we have here is basically a handle with a ring on the bottom, right? Then if you imagine the blade and the handle aren't there, we just have these two arms that are connected to just the blade. So we have these four parts. They work in unison. All right, it's a very clear, if you open and close this slowly, all right, and keep the handle still, you can see how this works. All right, when it's all the way down, it's kind of sucked in. There's a little bit of a detent type action, and that's that locking mechanism, which is down here. It's moving over a little bit, so it's not going to shake open very easily. And then, of course, when it's fully open, this lock on the bottom pops over, okay? So it keeps it from closing. Now, in the open position, I mean, it's locked up like a bank vault. There is not a hair, not a wisp of any kind of blade play in this design at all. To unlock this, all you do is come in here. There's a cutout in the frame to kind of sweep your thumb down, and you're just pushing this little piece over, okay? So once you push the piece over, then it freely moves again. I found that, most people, how they open it, there's a little jimpy on the bottom here, so they kind of just swing it open, just like that. Looks very fun. If you swing it up, you can manipulate it one-handed to close that. All right, which is also very cool too. Okay, in case you are, busy with your other hand, you're actually carrying this to use the thing. You can definitely open it and then close it fairly easily with one hand. Now, something worth noting, even though 99.9% of people are going to be opening it like that, just because it's a lot of fun and cool, you definitely can take this out and open it in a forward position here. Again, there's a little bit of jimping on the bottom there, so it's very easy to push this forward, all right, lock it into place to use it like this. Okay, which would actually be a lot more helpful than a reverse grip as far as utilitarian work. Okay, not a lot of ninjas out there that are cutting up bad guys with these things. So most of us are actually just using it in this position. I did find that using my finger, my pinky in the ring, it's not as comfortable. It's not bad or anything, but just a couple cuts through cardboard and stuff. I just ended up taking the pinky out and holding it over, and it was a lot easier for me. Like I said, not the most comfortable karambit to use in this position, but definitely still usable. But yeah, I mean, it's chunky, it's thick, it's robust. I don't feel like this thing would break very easily. The D2 blade is totally fine. This one's all blacked out. There isn't actually a new model, which I think has some tan parts. It's dual tone, I believe. In closing this, flipping it over, let's take a look at the pocket clip, which is also very innovative as well. So this is a very unique pocket clip. You can see it's basically like a P shape. All right, and you can see there's a little bit of some cutouts here for grip. And what's that for is to push down on. So you're supposed to push down on that, which lifts up the tip of the pocket clip. All right, so when putting this in the pocket, you just squeeze that together and slide it down, and it's gonna go over the pants pocket material and slip in. That actually works very, very well. Now, something else I discovered while actually carrying this thing is that you can wave it open. It's actually very, very easy to do so because to open this, you're pushing on this portion here of the knife. What's happening for me, it happened by accident the first time. And as soon as it did, I was like, what just happened? Did that just wave open? And then I quickly realized it's because the angle I was pulling out was more to the side or down. So you push the puck clip, put it down in the pants, right? If you lift it straight out by the ring, it won't wave. But what I did on accident was I pulled it out on like a 45-degree angle and the side of the pocket pushed on this. So obviously pushing on this opens this particular knife design. So in pulling it out, it literally just waved open. Which is obviously pretty cool, but again, I don't know if this was a specific design feature or not. And to be honest, I haven't had any problems doing it on purpose. However, because of the design, it's always possible that you're going to accidentally cut the seam of your pocket. All right, unlike most waved models where there's some kind of a design feature on the back of the blade, it's different pushing on this whole piece here. All right, so basically, as you're pulling this out of the pocket, when this opens, the blade's still pretty much in the pocket. Okay, so just keep that in mind. If you do this the wrong way, you might damage your pants. Now, after carrying this and using it a little bit, I could definitely say it's a usable knife. All right, you can carry this every single day and use it if you wanted to. The blade's not too extreme or anything. It just, obviously, there's a lot better knives, in my opinion, for like an EDC or something. The reason you would get this is for the novelty and the gimmick. Now, gimmick sounds negative. Oh, that knife's a gimmick. Not necessarily, okay? We buy lots of stuff because there's a gimmick, but if the gimmick works, there's nothing wrong with that. This has a novelty to it. This has a gimmick, but it works wonderfully. It is a ton of fun, okay? I can't even tell you how many times I've opened and closed this since I've had it. Just holding it here and using your thumb and flicking that open. It's just fun. You get a lot of joy out of it, but it's not a cheap novelty toy. This is actually a usable knife that's just very different. So if you were to get one of these things, I mean, that's pretty much the reason why. You just want to check it out and see what everyone else is talking about. But if you did decide to actually use it, you can certainly do so, which is nice. Again, for me, the ring is not quite as comfortable as just holding it over the handle here. Obviously, having a hawkbill style blade here, it does dig in very easily. This is awesome for ripping open boxes. Boxes of what? Well, more knives, of course. That's what most of us are cutting open, right? But yeah, I mean, the Provoke, it took a long time to get this, and it's just because everyone loves them. So anyway, I've really enjoyed the knife thus far. Like I said, my initial impressions were it's bigger, heavier, chunkier than I ever imagined. But boy, is it cool. I mean, like I said, if you're a fan of Karambits, this was definitely something you'd probably want to put in your collection. But it is usable. It's a usable gimmick, and I think that's absolutely awesome. So big round of applause for CRKT for putting this design out, because I know there was a ton of interest, but not everyone has or is willing to pay the $400+ or whatever it happens to be for the original. So it's really cool. And that's, I mean, specifically CRKT, I'll take a second here. They've worked with so many different custom knife makers in the past to bring you custom designs for an affordable price. I mean, one of my favorite ones, which you guys obviously know about, is the CRKT Minimalist. Alan Foltz made a really awesome neck knife, and although it's not ridiculous, I mean, you can get it for like $100 to $150, but CRKT's version of it, for the price that they sell them for, man, it's awesome. In fact, when people ask me they want to get their first neck knife, what they should try, that's the first one I always recommend. I always suggest that. The CRKT Minimalist, it's cheap. You're going to very quickly find out whether you like a neck knife or not. And of course, if you want to invest in the custom version, get a better blade steel and maybe a little bit better fit and finish and stuff, you can certainly do so. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. Let me know if you have the Provoke, and if you do, what you think of yours. But I think it is really, really cool. So, hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.